Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking about the motion of yang. All right, what does that mean? All right, so actually, Andrew Yang moves a lot. He really does. He actually physically moves his physical form, right? So on Earth right now, we still live in physical bodies, right? And Yang moves a lot. He has a lot of motion. It is the motion of Yang. Now, why is it important for a candidate to move? Well, guess what? It's always been important, right? And it has gotten way more important in this particular election, right? So we're going to talk about the motion of Yang. And first, we're going to talk about why the motion of Yang is so important. All right, so we just witnessed the September 12th ABC Houston debates. And I will say Yang had a absolute fantastic night. He knocked it out of the park. He really kind of revealed a very long-term plan, right? Yang's plan is to follow a path of peace, to play nice with the other Democrats, right, and really focus on his solutions rather than trying to tear down his opponents, right? And also I really feel Yang is really settling into a long-term plan. Like, he's going to take all the time it needs to beat every Dem that's his opponent, and he's building momentum to defeat Trump, okay? Now, in addition to Yang's absolutely fantastic performance on September 12th at the ABC Houston debate, Biden had a strong night. It was very frustrating for me. I really dislike Biden a lot. I really don't think he, I have multiple objections. Primarily to one, I don't think he has a good motivation. I don't think Biden wants to be president. He just wants to stop Trump from being president. It's not a good motivation. But the other one is his age, and it is a major problem. I did the numbers, and it's way worse than we've discussed before. I could not believe this. He was born in November of 1942, okay? This is going to blow your mind when I give you these numbers, man. On January 20th, 2021, if Biden wins this election, which will not happen, but if Biden were to win this election, he will be 78 years old. 78 years old, okay? He has absolutely not at any point indicated he will be a one-term president. And frankly, by default, every president goes for 2 terms now. In fact, I think Biden understands that he couldn't even announce that he would be in for a one-term president, because everybody would go, well, why don't I just go get a 2-term president? What's the point of that, right? So basically, get this, right? Biden walks in at 78 years old on January 21st, 2021, if he wins, right? This is astounding. Let me drop this fact on you. When he gets in, he will be older when he begins his presidency than the oldest president ever, who was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan left office when he was 77, right? Biden will be starting the presidency later than the oldest president in history stopped being president. That is astounding, right? Gets even worse. All right. Biden drops in. This is just a supposition. This is all hypothetical, right? Biden drops in on January 21st, 2021. On January 20th, 2021. He's 78 years old. 4 years later, in 2024, he is 82 years old. That's in 2024. In 2028, on January 19th, right? 2029. Right? Like, holy cows, he will be 86 years old. 86 years old. If you vote for Biden, you are voting for an 86-year-old presidency. You are voting for an 86-year-old person to handle climate change, to handle El Paso situations, to handle international policy, to handle immigration crises. 86 years old, right? I have a friend who has a grandfather that is to their children who's about that age, right? There was a point where they're like, we can no longer have this person drive our children to events. It's not safe, right? When people are 86 years old, you begin to wonder if they should be trusted to drive kids to baseball practice, right? Why are we as a nation discussing if 86 years old is the right age to decide if there's going to be a lights in the sky skirmish with North Korea, right? That is not a good idea. It's just pure math, right? This has gotten to the point of ridiculousness. So just everybody needs to understand. Anybody who's like, I'm a Biden supporter, and guess what? Sanders is worse because he's 1 year older, right? So everything I said just applies to Biden, but it also applies to Sanders. The reason I'm not talking about Sanders doesn't matter, right? Like, he's done. Sanders, it's finished, right? Like, that socialist sticker is not coming off of his forehead. He cannot get 51% of Americans to vote for him. There's just no way. Sanders doesn't matter anymore. A lot of people don't understand that. He doesn't, okay? Biden does. Biden is a threat, a true threat, right? But anybody who you know right now who is a Biden fan, you need to ask them, are you comfortable with an 86-year-old president walking this nation through climate change, right? What the heck, right? Like, this seems like, I don't even understand why this is even a conversation. This clearly seems like a bad idea, right? Now, again, I want to be super clear. I'm not in support of any laws that would disallow anyone of any age from ever running for president. I think that we as a people need to say, this is not safe for the candidate, not safe for the nation. That's the reality, okay? All right, let's talk about the motion of yang. The motion of yang is critical, right? I have a mnemonic that's going to walk me through all of Yang's motions, right? Cha surf, all right? Hoop song, and circle endure. Let's walk them through. This is everything I have seen in the last 6 months on Twitter video. A video that was posted on Twitter. This is all the motion of Yang. Yang doing the cha-cha with a group of voters, doing a fantastic job. He's going right, he's going left, he's going forward. It's fantastic. It was really winsome. He did a great job. He has really good rhythm, right? But he's not too good of a dancer. You can't trust people who are too good of a dancer, right? I feel strongly about that, right? That's a joke. Okay, so at this point, he's actually a very good dancer. He did the cha-cha with a group of very nice voters, and it showed up on YouTube, showed up on Twitter, and it was really winsome. It was wonderful, and it showed he can get down. So Yang can get down. He can dance, right? Okay. In New Hampshire last week, he crowd surfed, right? They picked him up. The whole crowd just picked him up and carried him through the room. It was really cool. It looked really neat. It showed he has courage. It shows he's a good sport. It shows he's not weird about people touching him. It was really, he can have fun, right? Actually, if anybody doesn't want anybody else to touch them, that's fine, right? But that you'd have a tough time being a presidential candidate if you're not okay, shaking a million hands and people getting close up to get selfies and putting their hand on your shoulder. If you're hey, I don't want to be touched, that's fine. It's totally cool to not want that, but it's going to make it more challenging for you to engage with human beings who still shake each other's hands, put their hand on somebody's shoulder when they take a picture, all that kind of stuff, right? So and Andrew Yang crowd surfing, really, it was really dramatic, right? It showed, hey, this person is great. Can you imagine Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden crowd surfing? Ooh. I don't know, man. It would not be hard to lift them up, right? Putting them down could be tricky, and if you drop them, you got a problem, right? Bones get brittle. That's all I'm saying, right? It's not good, right? All right, cha surf, Hoop Song and Circle and Door. All right, let's talk about Hoop Song. One of my favorite Yang motion moments was, it was the first video I saw Yang in. There was just a couple of YouTubers. They were really great. They were a non-political channel, and they had Yang on. And with Yang, they went and they ate South Korean convenience store food, and they shot hoops basketball, right? So they went and Yang just scarfed up a bunch of noodles, right? Talked about, put a bunch of spices on it, right? That's a big deal. Like, even just being able to eat a spicy soup, right? Like, it's a thing, right? Like, it's like Yang is 44 years old. He is spry, young, and healthy, right? And that projects strength. And part of politics is perception, right? You need to project strength, right? And actually, Biden's 100% aware of this, right? He literally challenged Trump to, like, physical fitness tasks. Like, it was crazy. Like, I was like, and because politicians know this, you need to project strength, right? Elizabeth Warren projects strength, right? Tulsi Gabbard projects strength. Well, not anymore. Nobody sees her anymore because she doesn't show up at the debates. But you know where I'm heading there. All right. So basically, I really like seeing Andrew Yang play basketball, right? Songs. I saw a clip the other day. He does this at multiple areas. When he's waiting for setup, when he's waiting for, like, camera crews to get set up, when he's waiting for an event to start, he'll start singing. He'll sing a song, and when he sings the song, he'll just do a little celebratory dance. He'll move around. He'll get the crowd shook up, get them riled. And it's big. He is now. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. He's getting the energy in the room up, right? I'm a dungeon master. I play Dungeons and Dragons. The energy for a Dungeons and Dragons table comes from the dungeon master. You got to be up. You got to be hype. You got to have a fast cadence in your voice. You got to have energy, right? You keep the flow, right? It's exactly the same thing in a political room, right? A politician keeps the energy in the room high, right? They're a speaker. They're a leader, right? Leaders know how to do this. They know how to keep the energy, the flow, they keep it high. They keep it hype. They keep it moving. You know what I mean? It's really, really important, right? And so Andrew Yang will sing, and he'll do like little celebratory dances while he sings, right? And actually, he even reads music. He can play the piano, like, and so when I say he sings and he dances, it's not a bad situation. It doesn't make anybody embarrassed or like, it's a good thing, and that's not a small thing. Not everybody has like musical ability as an extra skill they can just lay on top of all the awesome things they're already doing, right? It's pretty incredible, right? All right, so we talked about Crowdsurf, we talked about Hoop Song. Let's talk about Circle and Door. Andrew Yang moves in so many cool ways, right? So one of the things he does is circle. He circles a room. So he'll run into a room. I've seen him do this many, many times on Twitter, on video. Right, he'll run into a room and he'll just run around and he'll five everybody there, and he will run. Right, he will actually just he'll get everybody hyped up, and he'll just kind of run around like he's at a sports event. Right, and again, this is keep the energy high, but he can do it. He can run around the room. He doesn't step on people's toes. Like he can high five people as he moves. He can walk and chew gum. Like it's important. This is really, really important, right? And this is not unrelated to the presidency itself, right? Presidents are now required, like, it's not an official requirement, but it's very much a social requirement that they show up at disaster sites, man. You got to make sure you don't step on a nail, right? It's a physical job. You jump in and out of helicopters all day. Like, it's a thing, right? You need to be physically adept in order to be president. And that is becoming more true every single day, right? All right. So you have that situation, right? So, and so he'll run into a room, he'll run in a circle, and he'll just high-five everybody there, and he'll greet everyone, okay? And the last one is endure. He endures. On the September 12th, ABC Houston debate, there was a spin room, right? And they were on, and all the a whole bunch of candidates were in there, and they were just answering questions for the media afterwards, follow-up questions. Yang was the last person in the room, right? And the reason why is he endures, right? He endures. He stays longer. He shakes more hands, right? except for Warren. Warren is really good at this too. I just read a few articles. Warren is on this Endure. She's on this Endure tip as well. She stays longer, right? She doesn't rush off, right? She wants people to know that she's there to hear them out and that they're listening to them and she's going to listen to him. And Yang's the same way. He endures. He stays longer. He's present. He's alert, right? And this takes a toll on your body. You need to be healthy to do this, right? And so the reality is, Yang's movement is incredibly important. And we, as Yang supporters, we can be very excited about this because we have a candidate that can move, that does move, and when he moves, none of us are worried that he is going to fall down and break, right? And I know that sounds a little bad, but the reality is that is not it's not my concern, it's Bernie Sanders' concern. Bernie Sanders validated that age is absolutely a concern when you choose who you vote for. I would like a spry, healthy candidate, right? Now, I think I can hear you. You're like, wait, isn't Andrew? If you're really concerned about age, Scott, Andrew Yang ain't the youngest candidate. What about Pete Buttigieg? He's even younger. He's like 37. He's like super young, right? Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Pete Buttigieg, right? Pete is not a threat at all. And the reason why, and he is becoming less of a threat every single day to Yang. And I think the reason why is everybody's got his number. So one, he's scrambling to put up policies. His cute, I got some vague plans, is really getting old at this point, right? And the reality is, here's where we're at, right? Basically, the reason why Pete Buttigieg, actually his youth is a serious resource, but he doesn't use it. He does not move nearly as much as Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang really has a movement vibe to him. He likes to move. You can see it, right? He is hyped. By the way, I have a theory. I actually think that Yang is actually getting exercise while he is running for president because he knows he has to. Like The Rock, he works out everywhere he goes. And Yang realizes he only has so much time in a day. So when you see him running around, he's doing that because he got to sit so long. So I actually think he's like multitasking, right? So that's a big thing. But why is Pete Buttigieg not a threat, even though he's younger than Andrew Yang? Well, the biggest one is South Bend. South Bend's falling apart. That is really hurting Pete bad. Pete waited way too long to define his policies. And Pete's goodwill from the media has dried up, right? Like the media's like, that was fun for a month or two. You're on your own now, right? And Pete never figured out anything to replace that goodwill from the media. And without the goodwill from the media, he is falling back fast, right? So that leaves young, spry, healthy Andrew Yang, who moves, right? And guess what? I am a firm believer that Andrew Yang's emotion, his cha-cha-cha, his crowd surfing, his hoop dreams energy, right? His singing and dancing, right? His running around in circles and getting people hyped up in the room, and his endurance, right? This is all motion. This is all physical motion in the world. But guess what? That motion is going to turn into acceleration for his campaign. It is already turning into acceleration for the campaign. And the reason why is the cameras love it. The cameras love it. They love to see these candidates moving. And Yang, I think he figured this out. He knows when he moves, he calls every time Yang does the cha-cha-cha. Every time he crowd surfs. Every time he sings and dances. Every time he runs around in a circle in a room. Every time he does this, he points a finger at Biden and Sanders, who frankly should not. There you go, right? Andrew Yang's physical motion in the world is translating into motion forward in his campaign, right? The motion of Yang is important. That's my opinion. What do you think? Do you think it matters that a candidate can play basketball, can crowd surf, can sing and dance? Let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.